Once upon a time in a dense forest, there lived a cunning wolf who was notorious for his wicked deeds. He would often terrorize the animals, stealing their food and even harming them at times. The wolf's bad reputation preceded him, and whenever he approached, the animals would scatter in fear. One day, the wolf decided to build a house near the rabbit holes of a family of rabbits. This move didn't sit well with the rabbits, especially the clever and quick-witted Peter Rabbit. Peter had always been wary of the wolf and his sinister intentions. So when the wolf began constructing his house so close to their homes, Peter decided to take action. Peter went to see the wolf and said politely, "Hello, Mr. Wolf. Why are you building your house so close to our rabbit holes? Don't you know it's dangerous for us?" The wolf, taken aback by Peter's audacity, replied sharply, "Why should I listen to a small rabbit like you? You should be afraid of me since I am a ferocious wolf." Peter, unfazed by the wolf's threats, retorted, "I'm not afraid of you, Mr. Wolf, but I don't want my sisters to be afraid of you. And I know you won't stop pestering them until you drive them away from here." The wolf, annoyed by Peter's persistence, simply dismissed him, thinking the little rabbit wouldn't dare challenge him. But Peter had other plans. That night, after the wolf had settled into his new home, Peter called a meeting of all the rabbits in the forest. They all gathered around Peter, eager to hear his plan to get rid of the wolf. Peter explained to them that they couldn't let the wolf live so close to their homes, and he proposed a solution. He told them he would distract the wolf while the rest of the rabbits would move away with their belongings and rebuild their homes further into the forest. The rabbits agreed, and so they all set about putting Peter's plan into action. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, Peter quietly crept towards the wolf's house. He knew just how to make the most noise without actually being seen. Soon, the sound of heavy footsteps and loud crashes echoed from inside the wolf's house. Startled by the commotion, the wolf came running out of his house, only to find Peter sitting calmly on a nearby tree stump, munching on a carrot. The wolf, bewildered by what he had just heard and now seeing Peter, couldn't help but ask, "What was all that noise about? Did someone rob your house or something?" Peter, with a mischievous grin on his face, replied, "Oh, no, Mr. Wolf. I was just playing a trick on you. You see, we rabbits have excellent hearing, and I heard you making all kinds of suspicious noises inside your house. I just wanted to check if everything was all right." The wolf, still shaken by the unexpected sounds, couldn't help but feel a sense of relief knowing that it was just Peter playing a prank on him. He let out a sigh and admitted, "Well, Peter, I was just setting up my house. It can get a bit noisy sometimes." Peter, ever the skeptic, replied, "Oh, I see. Well, if you're done making all that noise, I suggest you go back inside. After all, it's getting pretty late." The wolf, realizing he had been outsmarted by the clever rabbit, nodded and returned to his house. Meanwhile, while the wolf was distracted, the other rabbits quietly moved away from the area, taking their belongings with them. By the time the first rays of sunlight peeked through the trees, the wolf's house was surrounded by an eerie silence. He stepped outside to investigate and noticed that the rabbits had vanished along with their houses. The wolf couldn't believe what had happened. He had been outsmarted by a bunch of rabbits, and he felt humiliated and furious. He immediately started to pace back and forth, letting out frustrated growls. As he continued his angry pacing, the wolf suddenly noticed tiny footprints leading away from his house and into the forest. He followed the tracks, hoping they would lead him to the rabbits and their precious food. The wolf walked deeper and deeper into the forest, becoming increasingly agitated. The footprints were small, but the wolf was determined to find the culprits behind his predicament. After what seemed like hours, the wolf finally spotted a group of rabbits gathered around some freshly dug holes. They were happily munching on some delicious carrots, completely unaware of the wolf's presence. The wolf couldn't hold back any longer. He burst out of the bushes and exclaimed, "Gotcha, you rabbits! I found you. The rabbits, startled by the sudden appearance of the wolf, froze in their tracks. They looked at each other in disbelief, unsure of what to do next. But Peter Rabbit, being the quick-witted creature he was, quickly recovered from his surprise. He stood up and addressed the wolf with a calm voice. "Mr. Wolf, we were hoping you wouldn't find us. We've been trying to build new homes further into the forest, away from yours, but it's taking us a long time." The wolf, feeling a sense of triumph, took a step forward and said, "Well, that's all about to change now. I'm going to move in right here and build a bigger house. That way, none of you rabbits will ever be able to escape me." With those menacing words, the wolf began digging a large hole, preparing to lay the foundation for his new house. However, as he dug deeper and deeper, he noticed that the ground was hard and rocky, making it difficult to create a proper foundation. The wolf huffed and puffed, his paws aching from the hard work. Just then, Peter Rabbit hopped closer to the wolf and said in a sympathetic tone, "Mr. Wolf, are you sure this is the best spot for your new house? It seems like the ground here is very hard and it might not be suitable for building." The wolf, irritated by Peter's constant chatter, snapped back, "Mind your own business, Rabbit. This is none of your concern." Peter, unfazed by the wolf's anger, continued to observe the situation. He could see that the wolf was struggling to dig and that the spot he had chosen was indeed problematic. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the forest floor, Peter decided to approach the wolf once again. He said, "Mr. Wolf, it's getting late and you haven't made much progress. Why don't you come with me to a better location where it'll be easier to build your house?" The wolf, exhausted and still angry, replied, "No, thank you, Rabbit. I don't need your help." However, Peter persisted, "But Mr. Wolf, I'm being serious. It's almost dark and you haven't even started your house. If you let me show you a better spot, you can start building right away and have a roof over your head before nightfall." The wolf hesitated. On one hand, he was still furious with Peter and the other rabbits for tricking him. But the thought of spending another night in the open, cold and hungry, was not appealing. He reluctantly agreed to Peter's offer, thinking he could always run away if the new location wasn't to his liking. Peter led the wolf through the forest, keeping a watchful eye on him. Finally, they arrived at a clearing where the ground was soft and sandy. Peter turned to the wolf and said, "Here you go, Mr. Wolf. This is a perfect spot for your new house." The wolf surveyed the area and couldn't help but agree. It was indeed an excellent location. He thanked Peter and started digging, his anger completely forgotten. As the wolf worked diligently on his new house, Peter watched with amusement. He had successfully diverted the wolf's attention away from the rabbits and their food. Moreover, the wolf seemed genuinely happy with his new house, which made Peter feel a sense of satisfaction. The rabbits, safe in their new homes, would forever be grateful to Peter for his intelligence and bravery. And as for the wolf, he learned that it is not always wise to choose a house location based solely on anger and revenge. From that day on, the wolf and the rabbits lived in harmony in the forest. They respected each other's boundaries and shared the resources peacefully. The story of Peter Rabbit and the bad wolf serves as a reminder that anger and vengeance often lead to unintended consequences, and that forgiveness and understanding are essential for lasting peace. The animals in the forest learned to resolve their conflicts peacefully, valuing cooperation and kindness over deceit and violence. And so the tale of the rabbit and the wolf became a legend whispered among the creatures of the forest, a reminder of the importance of wisdom, courage, and compassion in overcoming adversity. And that's the end of the story. The end.